Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage. I've reviewed almost 500 indie movies on the channel, and today I want to tell you about a wonderful film that I just saw at the Berlin International Film Festival. The Tamil language drama or dramedy Kottukkaali, aka The Adamant Girl. It's the second film written and directed by Vinothraj after his much acclaimed Kottukkaali. It's a story of a young woman, Meena, played by Anna Ben in her Tamil debut. It's a role that's mostly silent. Throughout the movie's 100-minute runtime, she only utters a few words, and most of the time she isn't even emoting that much. Instead, she mostly just stares into the void, as everybody around her takes charge over her life. Most of all, Pandey, played by the only other professional actor in the film, Soori, who is actually most known for his many comedic performances, though he also played a very dramatic and different part in Vetu de Maran's Vinothraj. Meena has been promised to Soori as a wife. Both their families have known each other since forever. But Meena has fallen in love with another man, and that man belongs to a lower caste. For the families, the situation seems to be clear. That lower caste man must have put a spell on her. She must be possessed, and therefore they are all heading to a shaman or seer who must perform some kind of ritual to make her come back to her senses again. For an outsider, this might sound like a very bizarre story, but in reality, unfortunately, it is quite common. Filmmaker Vinothraj himself has encountered such a situation in his own family, which led him to making this film. To, in a way, give a voice to the thousands of women who had or have to endure such torment themselves. Our passive protagonist Meena has no voice left, but not because she's possessed by some spirit or a victim of a curse or anything superstitious mumbo-jumbo like that, but because she has already said everything she could say. She has made up her mind before the actual movie begins. She doesn't seem to have any ally around her, and her silence, her stare, can be seen as a form of impotence, of not having any agency and power over one's own life. But on the other hand, it can also be seen as a form of protest, of resistance. She's done with these people, she's done with these customs and traditions. Kottukkaali is dealing with topics that ring quite familiar if you have seen some Indian movies. It's about caste issues, the patriarchy, traditions and superstitions, family structures and mob mentality. And at the same time, female empowerment and hope for a better future. Now, while these things have been addressed in countless movies, and rightfully so, filmmaker Vinothraj's film is super fresh, and it feels a bit strange to say this, but it's also a very entertaining and almost light-hearted watch. As I initially said, it's a drama, but more like a dramedy, something with a very clear satirical and humorous touch to it as well. Unfortunately, I haven't seen his previous first film, but just from this one, it's pretty obvious that he brings a very fresh and distinct new voice to Indian cinema, or let's say world cinema. While other films dealing with these subject matters might fall into the trap of becoming too melodramatic, and I don't mind me some good melodrama, but it's not easy to pull off, Kottukkaali, on the other hand, isn't anything like that. Instead of featuring some heavy score that should tug at your heartstrings, this one doesn't feature any music at all. What it does feature is a pretty remarkable and immersive sound design, as well as sync sound, which immediately gives this a very grounded and realistic vibe. Also because of the often use of fairly long continuous shots, and the use of non-professional actors. Director Vinothraj takes us into this world of southern Tamil Nadu, into the world of these characters. And he takes us onto a journey, as Kottukkaali turns out to be a road movie as well. These two connected families are all coming with Meena and Pandey. Now, my next praise might appear to be a bit superficial, but I can't help it, because it's kind of a pet peeve of mine on one hand, and something that I just love visually on the other. And that is people driving in movies. There's just something beautifully kinetic and hypnotic about seeing people in cars or on motorbikes or other moving vehicles, just passing by the landscape. And here's my pet peeve with that. Nowadays, quite often that's realized with pretty shabby CGI. I like the charm of old movies where they used rear projection if people were driving a car. But modern movies where it's just so obviously fake, I just can't stand that. And thankfully, Kottukkaali is full of shots of people actually driving around, and I just love that. Basically, the entire film just takes place on that one day where the two families are constantly on the move. And so much of the story, of the background of these characters, of the banter and little details is happening while driving. The direction is fabulous. Both our professional actors, Soori and Adamant, as well as all the non-professional actors are wonderful and make the movie feel very authentic. And at the same time, there are so many wonderful artistic things sprinkled in that totally elevates it. It's full of unique, memorable scenes and even some laugh-out-loud moments. Some of the choices are so striking that you might almost call them slightly experimental. Some of the camera movements, some of the framings, some of the situations, let alone the way P.S. Vinothraj integrates animals into his narrative. The rooster they have with them for the ritual, a little insect that flies into one person's eye, or the big bull that is standing on the middle of the road and hinders them to continue their journey. It's such a rich and fresh film with a wonderful satirical tone that for me didn't take away from the severity and injustice, but certainly highlights the absurdity or stupidity of it all. Take just this wonderful little moment of what I would like to call the bridge brawl, in which everyone becomes part of this loud and angrily moving crowd of people. All of a sudden, the camera and we as the audience take a giant step back to this long shot that reveals these petty little humans fighting with each other, surrounded by all this beautiful lush green scenery. It's quite wonderful. Overall, I had a really great experience with the film, which became even better as part of the film team attended the screening as well and did a Q&A afterwards. So in German I'd say, Kottukkaali ist ein inhaltlich wie formaler, unglaublich pointierter und frischer Film, voll von wundervollen, kleinen Momenten und Ideen. I give Kottukkaali 8 out of 10. It's more like 7.9, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Kottukkaali, if you have already seen it. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.